And welcome back to the Mark Mosey Show as we are getting ready for NXT Live coming up this Saturday night in Melbourne. You want to get tickets? It's e-tickets. That's right, e-tix. I have tickets to give away as well, and I'll be doing that on my show. And these fine gentlemen, they will be there Saturday night. You can check out. They're with Chase U. They are Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. Guys, how you doing today?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
We got to do that. All right, let's start with the obvious for the three people that don't know.
Okay.
What is Chase U? Explain it to us, man. What are you guys all about?
Chase University, you know, it's an institution of higher learning, obviously with a specific niche of professional wrestling, but really we do it all, don't we, do?
Yes.
We do a little bit of everything here at Chase University. You know, right now, another one of my students, Thea Hill, she usually would be here with us, but she's you know, she's going through a few things right now. We don't have the best relationship at the moment.
She's going through a phase.
A phase, as we'll call it.
Duke, I like where you're from Australia. You come all the way to America to become a superstar, and they're like, all right, you're going to be part of Chase U. Let's rock and roll. How's this experience been for you?
Joining Chase University has been an absolute blast. I think it was a very rocky start. Rightfully so. They didn't trust me. I have one of those faces. But I choose to believe over the last almost 12 months that Andre Chase, I think I've earned his respect and gained his trust. And I look forward to the future being alongside this man.
Exactly. Do you always have to wear the headband? I need to know. Every time I see you, man, are you always in the headband?
This doesn't come off.
Even in the shower, we leave it in.
What's the point?
Andre,
yes,
how
sir.
long have you been doing this Chase U thing here in the NXT?
So Chase U was launched in September of 2021. So we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of Chase University. I mean, honestly, Chase U's always been in my heart. You know what I mean? I've always been an educator at heart. But being able to officially launch my own institution, you know, Andre Chase University, having great students again like Thea and like Duke, and I'm sure the American college experience is probably a bit different than the Australian college experience.
Oh, very, very.
For the better, I imagine. But yeah, Chase University coming up on the 2-year anniversary. So
I've been wanting to ask you this for months now because I'm a big fan of you guys. So everyone's wearing maybe a t-shirt, no shirt, pants, shorts. You're wearing, okay, this is for all the fans out there. You have to wear a sweater and pants. Aren't you hot in the ring? How do you do this exactly?
Well, I don't have to wear this. I choose to wear this. And there's a few reasons. So since you are a fan, you know that I like to give out teachable moments. So not only in the ring do I like to give out teachable moments, but just in life, I like to give out teachable moments. And I think it's a statement, me wearing a sweater and a full dress shirt and, you know, full khakis. It takes a special kind of athlete to do that. And I like to practice what I preach. You know, I don't want it easy. I want my students to know that you got to go out there and earn it. So if I can do all this in a full sweater, full dress shirt, full dress pants, you know, guys like Duke Hudson who wrestled the traditional wrestling gear, it should be a breeze for them.
I started wearing the sweater with the sleeves cut off when I joined Chase U.
Nice.
And even without sleeves, I thought this is stupid. Like this is too hot. So I don't know how he does it with a shirt and a sweater with sleeves. So that's why he's in charge. He's the man.
And then I think you'll also wear, I've seen you where you got the Jordan 1s on as well. Are those comfortable in the ring?
Again, a bit for comfort, a bit for fashion. You know what I mean? And also maybe to get a sponsorship. So if you pass this along to anybody at Nike or Jordan reps, that'd be great.
I like it. We're here with Chase U's members, Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. Duke, what about you? So are you like Bill Belichick with the Patriots where everything you get, cut the sleeves off? What do we do?
He's not a sports guy. He wouldn't get that reference.
I have no idea. I have no idea what you just said.
All right. I know this. You have rugby and then you have Australian level rugby. What's the difference between the two? I know you can answer that.
Oh, yeah. Australia has their own sport, Australian Football League. That's what I grew up playing for 10 plus years. I believe it's the sport with the most running in the world. So I know that I used to be fit. You know what I mean? Like I used to be one of the fittest around based on the sport I played. And now, I mean, I've changed a little bit. You know, I'm a growing boy. I need to put on muscle. So I eat these things called brookies. It's a half brookie, half cookie. So I'm not as much of an athlete as I used to be, but I'm trying to find I think life is about balance. I'm trying to find a happy medium.
But did rugby help you become a superstar?
I think so. I think it gave me my wind. Yeah, for sure.
I've never
I
heard
miss
that
it
term.
sometimes. I do miss it sometimes. But this, I mean, in football, you know, you got to be a little more respectful, you know, otherwise your coaches and your team might get a little upset with you. But here, I can say and do whatever I want.
Within reason.
Sure. Whatever you say goes. Yeah.
What was it like? And I'll go back to, you guys could both answer this. I'll go back to Andre. I know it's been your dream to become a superstar professional wrestler. I know you worked your way up. What was it like when you got that phone call? Hey, this is the WWE. We want you to come to Orlando and be in the NXT.
So I don't want this to sound a certain way, but I just knew that it would always happen. It was just a matter of like when, because, and again, this is something that I still teach the younger guys and girls is like, if you work hard enough, the reward is always going to be there. Now, it might take a little longer. Like, again, it took me 14 years from the time that I debuted as a pro wrestler to get signed by WWE. But even then, even at year 10, at year 12, at year 13, I still know this is going to happen. I don't know when or why or how, but I believed so much that, you know, that I was just going to will it into existence. Now, maybe that makes me stubborn or hard-headed or, you know, whatever the case may be. But when I got the phone call, it was just like, okay, business as usual. Like I knew this was going to happen. I prepared for this moment. Now I'm here and let's get into it.
Was there a moment real quick where it finally hit you? Like you said, 14 years and you're like, oh yeah, I'm really doing this.
Probably when I made the debut, like the debut match for NXT. And again, but it was still at a very interesting time because it was still limited capacity, you know, coming out of the pandemic. So it wasn't what you would imagine a WWE debut to be like, but it still meant as much as it would have.
Okay. I love the answer. Let's go to Duke. What about you, growing up? And like you said, rugby, Australia. What about you, making it all the way to the WWE to be with NXT?
I have a specific moment that I will never forget where I was playing football that I grew up playing and I loved it. But as a teenager, I always say that I fell in love with wrestling watching it as a kid, and there are these guys that would insult each other. And then, if I went to school and insulted someone, I get in trouble. I have to go to the principal's office. But here they insult each other and then they go, let's just fight in the ring. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I want to do that. So I was playing football, but I'd started to fall in love with wrestling. And there was this one time where I'm standing there and the ball is coming at me and it's mine. If I want it, it's mine. And I just put my hands on my knees and I just watched it bounce by and I went, I think I want to be a wrestler. Mm-hmm. And that was the moment that I quit football and went all in on wrestling.
Did you guys get Monday Night Raw, SmackDown? How did it work? Like, did you watch it the next day? How did you guys consume the product?
At the time, it was, we got Raw on a Tuesday night for us, which is probably like Tuesday morning here. And I remember the first time I came to America to train at Booker T's school and watching Raw on a Monday night, like at nighttime, it was so bizarre. Because in Australia, you're watching pay-per-views on a Monday morning, like you're taking the day off school. So it was actually cool to watch it how it's meant to be watched, like at nighttime.
Andre, for our listeners, where are you from originally?
I'm from a small town called Eden, North Carolina. But again, one of the things that I always loved pro wrestling. I always wanted to be a pro wrestler. But then as I got into my teenage years and I started training at 17. One of the biggest things I thought about pro wrestling is it can help me see the world. So like as a child, I never took like vacations or family vacations. I was like, so pro wrestling could also be one of the ways to help me see the world. And luckily I got to do that. I got to live in the UK. I got to live, got to visit so many countries. And that's probably all because of pro wrestling. There's probably a lot of places that I've traveled to and got to experience that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Well, think about this. The guy you're sitting right by, you never would have met him without pro wrestling.
You're
There's
right.
no way. You'd have no idea. So that is crazy.
The amazing life you could have had.
Yeah.
We're here at Duke Hudson. Hudson-Chase would chase you. Yes, NXT Live is going to be coming to Melbourne this Saturday night. I got tickets to give away this week. All right, you said you started your debut probably during the pandemic, no crowd. So what's it like now where you're doing the show Tuesday nights live on USA, and then especially you're there at the pay-per-view with 20,000 people? What's that like for you guys?
You want to take this?
You
one?
go.
Okay, so when I made my WWE debut, it was coming out, so it was like limited capacity. So we probably had, I think at that point, maybe 100 people, here for the television tapings. So to go from, it's very interesting. So just as a timeline, like I was wrestling on the independents until the pandemic. And then when the pandemic happened, I didn't wrestle for 6 months, which was the longest in 14 years that I had ever gone with. Like I'd only gone maybe a week without wrestling in my whole adult life. So then six months I don't wrestle, and then I get signed with WWE. So then it was like everything restarted, because when I started wrestling, I was wrestling in front of 5 or 10 people back in 2007. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how it is. And then I came to WWE, and then I'm wrestling in front of 50 people. And then it rebuilt back up. So now the television tapings, we've got hundreds of people. And then, like you said, the premium live events, we had Vengeance Day in Charlotte, which was huge for me because that was a homecoming for me. Then you have Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend with a huge crowd and all this, influx of wrestling fans. Then recently we had Great American Bash in Austin, Texas. So it's like, it was like my professional career recycled after 15 years. And then it went back to building back up to now wrestling in arenas again, which when I think about it, that's how I always thought it would be, but maybe not in that order. To where
It's okay.
Building back up.
That's what's cool. That's your story. Everyone has a story. That's yours. Duke, do you feel that way as well? Like, oh man, we're doing this in front of these gigantic crowds now.
It just feels right. I was here during the pandemic, and my long lost brother that looks like me, Brendan Vink, he actually got a win on Monday Night Raw.
He did.
In front of an empty building. So to win, and it's like, yeah. It's just, and so to get the crowds back is unbelievable, and it was a great example of this. What we do is so different without fans. Like, we need the fans. The fans is a part of the show, right? And that's why it's so important. We, especially Chase U, we have a very close connection with the crowd, and especially the Chase U section. Mm-hmm. I think that's why we use them. We utilize them in our matches and make sure that they are heard. The WWE universe always wants to be heard, and we give them a voice. Mm-hmm. You say, Mr.
Right.
Chase?
And we can give them that voice again this Saturday in Melbourne.
Oh,
that's right.
This Saturday in Melbourne, the Melbourne Auditorium. Get your tickets now. I know you're going to give some away.
Yes.
But if you're not one of the lucky ones who can win one of these tickets, they are available only at etix.com.
Very nice. Let's end with this. What's it like when, all right, we got 5 minutes, we're going on live television, or we're at the pay-per-view, or we're at the house show in the Melbourne Auditorium. 5 minutes, you guys got to get ready. And then you're getting right there by the curtain, the music hits. What's that emotion and feeling like as someone, both of you who've been waiting your whole life for these types of moments?
It's an interesting question. Because when you say you've been waiting your whole life, you sometimes forget that. I think with inexperience, there's a whole lot of nerves. And I think with a bit more experience, people that have seen me before a match, I'm not nervous, and I'm trying to stay awake sometimes. Like, yeah, I do yawn a bit, and I'm just like, oh, I've got to go out there and wrestle. Like, okay, I've got to get ready, and I got to stretch. Some people don't stretch. Some people don't warm up, and I think they're lunatics because, I mean, once you get to a certain age, you got to warm up. Those external rotators, those glutes, you got to warm them up. So I'm trying to be cautious and stay in it, but I'm also not. I'm not to the extent where I'm sitting there and I can't remember anything or I'm itching. Like I feel confident before I go out there, and then it's not until I walk out. When I hear the entrance music, I walk out there and then I go, ah, yes, this is home, and then it comes naturally after a certain point. I may have said that in a long way, but how would you?
No, it's great, dude. I completely understand. Andre, what about you then?
I think and this is a very good question and interesting question, because I think if you ask 100 people, you're probably going to get 100 different answers, because everybody has their own process. And my process has changed throughout my career. I'm usually pretty focused and pretty calm, but then I see somebody like, I don't know, say Ilya Dragunov, who is like, being wild, you know what I mean? But like hyping himself up. And then I see some people on the opposite side, like he said, who don't stretch, who aren't warming up, who could just be sitting there having a conversation, and their music hits and like, oh, okay. And then they go. So again, me specifically, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. But after doing this so long, there is a certain comfort that comes along with like, okay, my instincts are there. I'm just going to trust myself. I don't really have to ramp myself up too much. And then when like he said, finally, when you make the entrance and you hear the crowd, that's when you kind of just like, okay, now this is business as usual.
I wish you had answered first, because you said it better than me, and I could.
Oh, come on!
What he said.
No, it's good though, because I would say that, because obviously as a tag team, we are with each other as we're in, the 5 minutes before. Either we're game planning or we're talking strategy, but he is usually more warming up and more stretching a little bit more. I'm more just usually in my head, like focused on what my personal game plan is going to be. So even with us, who we actually wrestle and are cohesive in the ring, I wouldn't say that our approaches are the same.
Do you afterwards? Because I go through this, and I ask this to musicians all the time. There's this, like, I go on the air and it's time to perform, and I got to go up here with the energy. I do. Then when the show ends, I'm okay. Then like 15 minutes later, I kind of crash because you're up here so much. And then I have to kind of sit down for a minute. Do you guys go through that? Because you're performing for millions of people. What happens after the match?
So I'm the opposite. Once I get there, I stay there for a while. So it usually takes me like a couple of hours. Like I have to get home or get to the hotel and like eat and relax. Like I can't. Once I'm up, I'm up. And I don't know, I can't really explain it any more than like, for example, last night after the television taping, like I went home and I probably wasn't back to a normal level until about midnight or 1 o'clock. So
laser tag. You're like, let's go to laser tag.
Let's go. Let's
do it, buddy. All night.
I've left shows and went and worked out before, or like got back to the hotel and then got on the treadmill or got on the Stairmaster, because I'm still so up. But again,
it's a rush. I get it. Like it's this passion. What's cool with you guys, you're living your dream and it's your job and you love it. Right. And I get it. Afterwards, you're like, let's keep going. Let's keep doing this. So I get it. Well, Duke, do you feel that way?
My process after a match, normally you walk back through the curtain, and in NXT, there's a lot of the locker rooms sitting there. They're watching on the screens. And depending on if it's a debut or if it was an amazing match, people will stand up and give a round of applause. And I was getting to this point in my career where I was walking back and I knew I'd done good, but they weren't clapping. So I had to mentally prepare for the match. And then coming back from the match, I had to mentally prepare, like, are they going to clap? And when I walk back, if they're not clapping, I clap for myself. And if people aren't watching, they're like, who's what? Oh, yeah. And then I get my round of applause. So it keeps my high for a little bit longer. But yeah, I normally have that high for about an hour. And then I will use something like a good old fashioned brookie to bring me right back down.
I like it. What did you say, to get you some wind? I never heard that term before. I like that.
Get your wind up. Yeah,
get your wind up. I just want you two to know, fine gentlemen, I need a Chase U t-shirt for the guy behind me, my fat head. We need to get one of those for the studio.
That happens.
Say no more.
We need to do that. Duke Hudson, Hudson-Chase, you could see him Saturday night. They are going to be at the Melbourne Auditorium for NXT Live. Go to eTix for more information to get those tickets. My guys, thank you so much for coming on, and good luck with everything here for the rest of 2023.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. See you in Melbourne.